On today's Kirkwood and Dunn, that's right. We're talking about Indiana's greatest weaknesses and threats that will challenge their ability to win a back-to-back national championship. We are doing a SWOT analysis. Tim and I dive deep into Indiana football to try to figure out what's going to hold us back, but also what strengths can we actually lean into this year to repeat as national champions. Then we'll look at some national storylines as well as some news and notes around Indiana football. We are getting closer to playing North Texas to kick off the campaign for Indiana football. Let's go. Tim, are you ready? Do you have your consulting hat on? Are you ready to walk into the big bosses and try to tell them, hey, listen here. I've looked at your stuff for a total of 2 hours, and you've been working here for 40 years, but I'm going to tell you what you're doing wrong. Are you ready? You got that mindset?
Listen, I do have some sad news for our audience, which is if you are now one of our many, many, many subscribers to the YouTube or Spotify to catch out the video, we will not be doing a screen share of a PowerPoint deck for our SWOT analysis of the Indiana Hoosiers team. Real miss by us. Like, we did not. Did we prepare a deck? No. Do we have a nice circle graphic with the letters SWOT? No, we don't have any of that. We're just giving it to you straight audio, just two guys talking about the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats for the Indiana Hoosiers.
Yeah, it's SWOT analysis for the algorithm, for all that. It's SWOT. I need the transcript to get that, so I don't have to change it to from SWAT multiple times. Right. We were looking at that SWOT. On this morning, Bookstore Brew, I said we were coming. Someone's like, Trent, we already knew you were a consultant because you used the word SWOT analysis. We have all this tip. No, I'm thinking this more like we haven't got to the slide deck portion. This is you and I arguing what we're going to put down. Like, we're going to go by the rule of 3 presentation. So there's only 3 strengths we can put. We need to put them in sequential order so that the client sees what it is. And then when weakness, opportunities, and threats, I've been doing a solo show back to back here, Tim, on Bookstore Brew that airs on mornings. Subscribe on our Spotify, Apple, or YouTube. But what I'm excited for is have Tim because I can be in an echo chamber, right? I'm just talking to myself about Indiana football. I need Tim. I'm kind of in a combative mood. I want you to argue with me about what are the 3 that we're going to put on here.
But see, I would love that, except we're not talking facilities, so I'm not sure where we're going to argue about. I think we're going to get into a lot of strengths, and neither of us are a part of the Lee Beebe stand committee, so we're gonna. I would love for us to have some differences here, but I actually think whether it's a strength, weakness, opportunity, threat, I think you and I might actually end up being aligned a lot because we're ball knowers, so we're not going to be, out on the edges with these people who don't know what they're talking about.
Okay, so we're going to focus on the easy parts because we both agree that Indiana is a good team. So if you're here to hear what we think is Indiana's weaknesses, so you can yell at us in the comments, you're going to have to wait on that one. We might go a little bit out of order. I think we've got to look at our strengths first, and then we can talk about our opportunities, threats, and then weaknesses, okay? Or maybe weaknesses. I don't know. We'll just talk about strengths first. That's where the moral of the story is. Okay, so I'm going to go first and submit one to you, and we have to agree. So if you don't agree, then
we'll have to compromise something.
Yeah, we're going to have to compromise some of them. And I'm going to say that the number one thing is going to be our passing offense. And I'm going to actually have to be more specific because we need to be more specific.
This is insane. Hold on. We need to stop right now. Hold on. Is this also like number one strength is like literally our number one, or are we just saying this is the first of our 3 strengths? Like, are you thinking?
That's a good point. That's a good point. That's a good point. No. We did say. Nope. You're right. Thank you, Tim. Tim saved me there. I was more like, this is my first submission. Yeah, I know. We're in a room. We've got the pizza on the side, and we've been staying up late getting ready for this presentation. No, okay, you're right. I was more submitting this is my first submission because I think our number one, and I will actually submit this for number one.
Okay.
Our pass rush. Because I think we got to be specific. Like, our ability to get to the quarterback is number one thing, is our strength.
So that belongs on the list, 100%. That needs to be one of those three. I mean, with the news of Kellan, Wyatt, and Stephen Daley, coming back, this is now a beyond elite group. I thought it was an elite group already, heading into this season. We're now at a place where this defensive line is really going to be an absolute nightmare for every program across the country.
Notice I didn't say defensive line, though. I'm being very specific by saying the ability to get to the quarterback.
The pass rush, yes. I view that lens primarily through the defensive line, but I understand what you're saying. Particularly Elijah Hardy, elite.
Bones Jones, yeah.
I have a better argument for number one on our number one strength.
Okay, go ahead.
And I think we would think about it, but we're so player focused all the time. The number one strength is the coaching staff.
Oh shit.
Flat out. That's actually it.
Because I think it's because I consult every day and I just consulted all day and you just help support a big client, one client all day, 40 hours a week, that your brain's more clear about this type of stuff because you're exactly right. It is
because this is the thing. And I've harped on it. I think I've been digesting a lot of national news, like national media content of late. What people are sort of underestimating, and in particular, I'm talking about Joel Klatt. Joel Klatt released his top 25 rankings and had his number one easy runaway was Oregon. Oregon lost both of its coordinators, its offensive and defensive coordinators. Like, there's certainly a world where Dan Lanning makes the right hires and the two guys he hires are really great, actually. That's possible, absolutely. Indiana returns its coordinators for the, fifth straight year with Curt Cignetti, Brian Haynes, and Mike Shanahan. And Brian Haynes just won the Broyles Award for the best coordinator across the entire effing country. The continuity at a coaching level is truly the strength that is driving this program forward. That's the number one strength of this team. It's not even at the player level. It's at the coaching level. And I think that deserves to be number one. Pass rush, I hear you. I think it's great. I put it number two.
You're right. This is why we agree. You're right. I'll even double down and say, emphasize that you're not even just saying Curt Cignetti, because obviously Curt Cignetti is the strength of the entire Indiana organization for all of time and the greatest strength of everything. He's our rock, right? We know this. But the fact we're talking about this season, and you're talking about a staff that has no business returning both its coordinators for how dominant they were. Dominant they were with perceived lack of talent. If you have a perceived lack of talent and you're dominant, that bridge in between there is called coaching.
Yes.
And we brought everybody back except the quarterback coach. Now, granted, the quarterback coach did win a Heisman, but the quarterback coach before him freaking took Curtis Rourke to the playoff.
Yes.
And he's back.
Yes. Curtis Rourke on one leg into the playoffs. It is literally, I think we will get to some point, probably in November, probably when Brian Haynes is making Lincoln Riley look like an absolute toad. And the leading segment is going to be, wow, we really fucked up by not getting those coordinators into one of our programs. Good on you, Oklahoma State, I guess, for hiring, the guy from North Texas, John Summerall, whatever. Those are bruh. Yeah. You messed up. And I hope they stay forever. But I 100% believe that this is the last season we have all of them. And that'll be questions for 2027. That's what we'll podcast about next year. This coaching staff is
I also want to be really clear. I said this at the time, it was crazy that James Madison didn't have Mike Shanahan or Brian Haynes on their close, all the reports and sources around it. And people are well, they're not going to take that job. That's not what I'm saying. Trust me, there are plenty of coaches that end up on lists that will never go to that school. Those two better be on every effing list this year whenever there's open. And when Steve Sarkisian gets fired at Texas in September, I'm predicting, Brian Haynes better be number one on their list. And Mike Shanahan number two. Or I would argue vice versa, but a lot of times you go with the defensive guy after the offensive guy. So I would understand Brian Haynes. I think it's crazy. Continuity, number one. Okay. Can I submit the getting to the quarterback?
Pass rusher, number two. I agree. I'm very supportive of that. That's going to be this entire defense we'll talk about, of course, but that when we think about our defense, I'm going to think about a front seven, really. But yes, that pass rush is going to be a nightmare to handle.
Nightmare.
Because they will have the wizard, Brian Haynes, concocting what they're going to be doing. But then at an individual level, each of these guys is going to be winning 90% of their battles against whoever is going to be trying to block them. And it's just going to be an absolute nightmare for opposing offenses to try to handle. And it's going to put our defense in incredibly favorable positions time in and time out again.
I'm already regretting because there's one that's defensive minded that I wanted to take, but you do have one I want to consider. I mean, you were so good on the first one. I don't want to like shut you out. I want to bring you in. I don't want group think of just Trent's thoughts.
No. I would submit for our third strength. I believe I want to like phrase it very correctly because it is a nuanced sort of feel. What I think will be a very surprising strength of this team will be downfield big passing plays. And I maybe need to phrase that a little bit better, but like the shots of 50 yards
plays
down the field. Mm-hmm. I'm not talking about a screen that then goes for 50 yards. What I'm really talking about is air yards. This is a strength of Josh Hoover. I believe it's an incredible strength of both Nick Marsh and Charlie Becker to get past guys and also then win the ball when it's down there. And it's perhaps a jump ball situation because it's been so big in the air. I foresee a world where we often find ourselves in like a 3rd and 8, but it doesn't feel as hard to convert. That we will be like, sure, chuck that ball 35 yards down the field. I'm all for it. We got 2 guys that can get there, be open. We got a quarterback that can deliver it there, and the guys can catch it when that ball comes down through the air. I think the sort of like deep passing game is going to be a really, really big strength for this team.
Can I think that goes along with my receiving core, right? Like the big plays, those guys, the strength of the passing game. The only worry that I have of the passing game is like, there is still, man, I'm going to say this, and people are going to rip me. There's still unknowns about Josh Hoover in this offense. We just haven't seen it. Like, there's not enough evidence that I have that it's a guaranteed lock, no doubter that Josh Hoover is going to be, the guy that can do the shot plays. Even though, like, on tape, you're right, that is his strength. It's like when he's trying to force a ball is when he struggles. So I agree with you. Let me submit something else. And it's the defensive side of the ball again, but that should tell us a lot, is that like the defense has a lot of things. Is the ability to make the other team one-dimensional. I think it was a podcast I was listening to, but they were talking about the Alabama game, and they were talking about if you can't the Michigan game as well. And they were saying if you can't do 2 things well against Indiana, you're going to lose, and you're going to lose by a lot. Because they were talking about Bryce Underwood and in the Michigan game. And they're like, I have no worries about the Indiana-Michigan game because Michigan, Bryce Underwood can't throw.
Right.
So, like, you're telling Brian Haynes he can't throw? Like, Alabama couldn't run. Like, and he's going to.
Yes.
So, Indiana already makes you one-dimensional, but then if you can only do one thing, then they're going to just completely take it away, and they're going to win 38-3, and they're going to win by multiple scores like they did against Oregon because they couldn't run the ball in the Peach Bowl, like all that type of stuff. So that's where like the one-dimensional aspect I think is a greater strength to me than their deep passing game because I haven't seen their deep passing game yet.
Yes, I would support that. I think mine can be that deep passing game can be our honorable mention.
Honorable mention. Well, we can't put that on the board. We have to be rules of 3. This is the rules that we've set.
The rules of 3. That's fine. I would agree. I think that's probably better. This defense is going to be insane.
So good.
I said it to somebody today, which is the fun thing now at my place of employment, which is everybody's like, well, Tim, now like tell me what the lay of the land is really for the football team. The defense last year was elite and arguably the best defense in college football, maybe the second, depending upon how you felt about Ohio State. I have actually every projection that this defense is going to be better than last year's defense. Flat out. And which is like kind of insane because of how good last year's defense is. I truly actually believe that's where we're heading.
I agree, but there is something that in the other areas that
we need to discuss
could come up.
Okay.
Yeah. So we feel good about this. Our strengths are the coaching staff continuity, coaching staff, pass rush, ability to get to the quarterback, and then the making making teams one-dimensional.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. That's Indiana's strengths. We'll go in there. We'll present that. We'll make them feel really good about themselves that they're good. All right. Let's nut up. We're 15 minutes into this podcast, so let's talk about the weaknesses so that everyone can rip on us down below of what we think is the weaknesses of the Indiana team. And these are known weaknesses. These are not like threats of weaknesses. This is what we know. Do you have a submission? Because I'm a coward and going to make you go first.
No problem. This is what I want us to live strategize on this podcast.
That's what we're doing. Yeah.
We're going to turn this into a graphic, right? For sure.
Possibly.
But hopefully the analytics department turns this into a graphic. I kind of want to put something on here that neither you or I believe, but would just be such rage bait that we would get incredible engagement off it. And that's where I want to go. So part of me wants to admit tongue in cheek. I'll just say it right now. Is to put as our number one weakness is we're not tested in the non-conference. And then we're playing a weak schedule. But
then we'd look like every national
then
account.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
So we can refrain.
I will, or we could do like all of our strengths as our weaknesses. You know.
Oh yeah, there we go.
Michael Scott.
The Michael Scott. Yes.
Coaching staff have they grown too stale?
We
the pass rush. They might be
too much.
They might be too focused on getting to the quarterback.
Okay, a real legitimate weakness, an area that I think we are going to need to improve on. I'm going to try to think of how to phrase this in a succinct way. I do believe we will see our offense sputter at times. Like and maybe it's a sort of like prolonged offensive droughts is maybe the way to go for it. And I'm going to frame this in a comparison to what I think it was a strength of last year's team. A big strength of the 2025 team was a real ability to run the ball well and run the ball well consistently. That we could go out there, even in the most basic I formation handoff, 2 plays in a row and be at 3rd and 4. And that kept the chains moving. It kept the playbook available, whatever else. I would like to think we get there. I don't know. We're going to see a lot, but I think a real weakness of this team is a potential for some inconsistent offense. And maybe that's the better way to put it, is inconsistent offense.
So I was going to propose, because we're consultants, is using inefficient offense.
Okay. Yeah. I get it. Yep.
So what you're talking about is, we talked about it a lot last year, that Indiana always stayed on schedule, no matter what. They were super efficient. It wasn't always big plays. But to your point, and if people are listening to the podcast, they know from the strengths discussion, we said that one of the strengths, we didn't end up putting it, but big plays, pop plays, all those type of things. Well, guess what pop plays don't do when you're throwing that on 2nd down? You're not gaining the 3 yards to put you in 3rd and 4. You're still at 2nd and 7, or now 3rd and 7, because you tried to get 25 yards to Charlie Becker over the top, and Josh Hoover just kind of missed, because it happens, because deep throws are harder. Mm-hmm. So you're now more inefficient than you were last year, because you're putting Josh Hoover in place to go 3rd and 7. Now, I would argue that the fans who are listening to this, and you'll probably agree with this statement, is that Cignetti won't let us get to that. Like, that's one of the things that Cignetti does like to do, is stay efficient. So he's not going to give up efficiency for this. But I submit to you, Tim Byrne, that the reason why you could be correct is because in 2024, not when we were playing Nebraska, Northwestern, and Washington, but when we were playing Ohio State and Notre Dame, Mike Shanahan play calling was pretty inefficient sometimes.
Yeah.
We were not moving the ball. And we weren't against Ohio State in the Big Ten championship game either.
Yeah. And listen, I think there's a good chance I'm proven wrong on this weakness. Ultimately, I think there's a place that we get to where we're still pretty good, because I do believe that the offensive line will be good. and is good, arguably. But it was a little perilous hearing about a Johnny being moved into guard. We have, I think reasonably no idea what we're getting out of the running back room. I think we're all hopeful, but blasphemy in the Indiana fan space, which might change the way that the offense looks and operates. I think the offense last year was really great about staying on schedule, but also, and was somewhat explosive, but just felt like an offense that wasn't going to make a ton of mistakes. And so no matter what, was probably going to score 4, 5, or 6 touchdowns, 1, 2, or 3 field goals. And the defense was so good, it didn't really matter. So we were always winning by 28 points. We might win by 28 points again, but I think the way that we get to 28 margin of victory could be so different than the way that it felt like in 2025.
So I don't think that's our number one weakness. I'm going to go a little more obvious and on the nose on the number one weakness, and that's offensive line depth. So
Sure.
The layer behind the offensive line. We know that Drew Evans has never played all games in a season in the Cignetti era. He was out for the season in the 2024, and then he was injured this year for multiple games and then came back. And great, because he's never lost under Cignetti when he's played a game. But we know he's not completed games or a whole season before. So if you take what is 5 very, very good players in a somewhat known quantity, there's no knowns behind them. And we believe in Bob Bostad. We're a Bob Bostad podcast. But if you look at other programs around the country at our level, they literally just have more bodies. We have 13 people on our depth chart. They have 20. So they've gotten to take more bites of the apple of this offensive line room. I think this is a product of what Cignetti's done things so quickly that there's some foundational pieces that I'm sure he would prefer. And I think the offensive line is one of those foundational pieces that he wishes he had more bodies. And so I think depth could be a concern, because let's not forget when Zen Mikulski came into the game.
It was tough.
And what that looked like.
It was tough. Yeah.
So I submit that should be our number one weakness, is depth on the offensive line.
I'm okay with it. If the weakness shows itself, it will be abundantly clear right then that we won't be winning a national title again. That we won't be able to overcome that. I think there's a world where if we have an inefficient offense, we still can absolutely be hoisting the trophy at the end of the year. We also, hopefully, knock on wood, don't see that depth become a problem. Yep. But if it happens, it very much could be a problem. So I will accept that as the number one weakness.
Okay. So I think another weakness. Do you have one in mind? I have one in mind.
You go ahead for it.
I think we don't have a backup quarterback.
Okay.
In 2024, we needed a backup quarterback. David Jackson was healthy enough to fill in for what we now know one-legged Curtis Rourke, but when he busted his finger and couldn't play, Alberto is better than Grant Wilson. We know that.
Yes, I would.
And Alberto is better than what we know of Tyler Cherry at this point.
Yeah. My only argument against this would be, almost every school is immediately bad when their starting quarterback goes down.
So it's
kind of like
true. Yeah, well, that's
but,
also like a criticism of the offensive line depth. Is like really no other school has the good offensive line depth, but because they've transferred out. And there's an old saying of Bill Polian, he's the Colts GM.
He was a Colts GM. He was a Colts GM that drafted Peyton Manning. He
has a famous line with Peyton Manning. He has a famous line with Peyton Manning. Like an NFL reporter went to the practice and Peyton Manning was taking every snap. Like the second string quarterback took no snaps.
Yes.
And they asked him, Bill, why does Peyton Manning take every snap? Don't you want your second quarterback to at least get some reps and stuff like that? And he goes, if Peyton Manning goes down, we're fucked.
Yeah.
And we don't practice fucked.
Yeah.
I feel like that's like the Josh Hoover and most starting quarterbacks in the country. But we don't have I hope Tyler Cherry's is good, but we know his injury was serious. And like, is he back? He's making strides toward that. But if you're asking me right now, we don't have even the developmental quarterback that other programs had. Like when Ty Simpson went out in Alabama, their maybe starter came into the game this year.
Yeah.
So that's it. Unless you have another identifiable weakness.
Well, what I was going to go with, which is the weakness of Josh Hoover ultimately to this point, and I think it gets better, but it's the potential for turnovers. We don't talk enough, not only how good Fernando was at not throwing picks, even though he had a couple that were like, oh, yikes, and at Oregon, but also ball security from Roman Hemby and Kellan Black was incredible.
We had one fumble last year. Who was it, Tim?
It was against Old Dominion, wasn't it? It was the very first game, and then we never had another one. I don't know. Who was it?
Lee Beebe Jr.
Oh, God. Lee Beebe stands, you idiots. Oh, God. But that's
You're right.
That was an incredibly underplayed thing, was like how very few turnovers there were and how like very much that did not put the team at risk for something. The defense did their good job to create turnovers. I think this defense will also do that, but there's a world where Josh Hoover throws more picks, certainly, and that's still better than maybe what he did at TCU. But if you combine that with running backs also doing some fumbling, things start to get. So I can see a world very plausibly where we're talking about the offense having turnover problems as we're kind of worried going into this next game. We've been turning the ball over a lot, and that's a narrative that's building around the offense.
Okay. Is it that, are we going to be prone to turnovers, or is it turnover luck?
Well, I would call it prone to turnovers in the way that I'm framing it, because there wasn't even as much as like recovered fumbles by the offense last year. We're like, okay, the running back fumbled, but the offense still recovered it. That's luck. It getting fumbled, I think, is still more of a skill in terms of the way a running back holds the ball or take hits or doesn't, and all of those sorts of things. Or a wide receiver who, after he catches it, blah, blah, blah. I think I'm talking about it from what is the skill that we're deploying, and is that potentially leading to more turnovers? I think that's absolutely on the docket.
I need to go look at it, but I do think Indiana, because I remember people talking about it, like Indiana is like so disciplined that like when Fernando Mendoza fumbled against Oregon on that long scramble in the Peach Bowl, Pat Coogan was there. And Pat Coogan, it was like 20 yards down the field. Like, it's like those type of things that the ball did pop up. I was going to ask you, because like if we're in a consulting team, I'm the one that smooths over the clients after Tim like gets them like their butt hurt, but you're the math guy. And math and football will tell you is water finds its level at some point.
Yeah.
And Indiana did have a very positive turnover differential. So like, is there is there an element here that luck will play a part here? But that's a threat. That's more of a threat.
It's a threat, but I would say as it comes to turnovers at the professional level have now been pretty well proven to be more luck than they are predictive, that there's not much you really can do to be totally positive in the turnover margin game. You can a little bit, the teams that have a true top 5 type quarterback do a little bit better, but like particularly from a defensive side and forcing turnovers, it's almost pure luck. I don't believe that to be true as much at the college level, because I believe there is a larger coaching disparity between an offensive coordinator and a defensive coordinator that we can find throughout the country. And I certainly believe that with Brian Haynes. So I think our defensive ability to generate turnovers probably will be consistent. I am more worried about our offense ability to stay away from turnovers, to match the level that the 2025 team did.
All right, I like it. Strengths are coaching staff, pass rush, making teams one-dimensional. Weaknesses, depth on offensive line, inefficient offenses, prone to turnovers is our weaknesses. Okay, areas of opportunity. So areas of opportunities that Indiana can grow, new markets, like all that fun, jazzy stuff. My first submission of area of opportunity is to own the Big Ten. I believe, I have a theory, because Oregon is very good. They are very good. They've not won anything. Ohio State is the closest we have to like the juggernaut right now in college football. Not only did they win national championship in 2024, but they also, their recruiting classes the last few years and their continued recruiting success, and that the Big Ten is the strongest and the NIL money and all this stuff, that Ohio State's not only recruited better than everyone else, most people, they've actually won. And arguably, Tim and I didn't want to see them in the national championship again last year. They're a very good team. And they're pulling NFL head coaches in as coordinators. Whether I think Arthur Smith is good or not, they have the money to do that, okay? So they are the big dog in the Big Ten. And if Indiana beats them this year, it doesn't necessarily erase like their dominance in the Big Ten. Like, I'm not saying that. But if Indiana beats them on October 17th at home in a convincing fashion, let's just say like they did to us in Columbus, right, Indiana will be the undisputed big dogs of the Big Ten, which ultimately means they will be the undisputed best program in college football. That's the area of opportunity.
I think the undisputed best program in the country might be, well, maybe. I think that depends on the actual outcome of the playoff. I do think
that's true.
Yeah. The opportunity to really own the Big Ten is there. There's going to be some people that are still so, their like time horizon is like, well, but in 2022, Indiana was bad. And Ohio State has been good for so long. And like, I understand factually that yes, Ohio State has won like at least 10 games every year since like 2005. Very good. They are a very good program. But that also, the 2011 Buckeyes don't matter to the 2026 Buckeyes. Just like the 2012 Hoosiers don't matter to the 2026 Hoosiers. We have to be so much more recent term in terms of predicting the future term. Like, we can't be looking back to all these different time periods to predict the future. Like that is just an era and things that are totally gone by. So I think that's
Ohio State's
really good opportunity.
We were kind of talking about this when we were talking about the rivals thing, and everyone's just globbed onto your statement of like, Ohio State's going to like hate Indiana more than Michigan or whatever. And it's like, no, Tim does not believe that Indiana's ever going to replace the game as like Ohio State's top rival. The point that we were trying to make is that there have been people that have risen up and beaten Ohio State at times over the last 20 years, since really the Jim Tressel days when they kind of took the stranglehold on the conference. But it's been very fleeting. It's like been one year Penn State wins, and then we saw what happened. Michigan State beat them one year. We saw what happened. Michigan, obviously, in 2024, they were beating Ohio State, but even Ohio State was still considered a better program than Michigan was at the time. Even maybe 2023 was the one year that everyone's like, no, Ohio State is not as good as that program. But that was 1 year. Every other year, it was a shame that it evaporated. Yeah, it evaporated.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm like, it's not that we're going to be their rival, their main rival or whatever, but can there be a program that takes the mantle for at least a few years away from the Buckeyes and actually has diminishing return for the Buckeyes? Because can someone get so good that people are like, wait, this Ryan Day guy, I don't think he's good enough. Like, I mean, they were ready to jump ship on him on Michigan. He won national title, but like, can Sig get Ryan Day fired?
Yeah. Yeah, maybe, but it's going to be hard for Sig to get him fired. But I agree. I think this could be number one. I would actually like to set that as number one, as the number one opportunity to sort of take a stranglehold on the Big Ten. I would really like to then add in number two. I'm going to go another like sort of broader thematic thing here too. And then I maybe have something for a third place that's more distinct in players on this team, which is this is going to be crazy to say, and it's what you've probably wanted to hear for a long time. This season has the opportunity to set a new generation of Indiana sports fans as football fans first. Like that is absolutely on the table now. 2024 was like so much fun. Wow, this kind of came out of nowhere. 2025, a bit of a dream as well. We believe in it. We're seeing some things really come together. But if this season were to go terribly, and then the assistant coaches leave to get those first head coaching jobs, and we don't hire the assistants that we need to, and it falls off, it becomes fleeting. But if this season goes to the best of its potential, which might mean legitimately being a back-to-back national champion, we're talking about Indiana men's basketball being a backseat to football for decades, just flat out. Not only because of like the revenue that football brings in and everything else that people kind of realize now, but that truly the spirit of the fan base will have switched to football permanently. I think that's an opportunity that's on the deck.
I need a cigarette. Heck of a speech by Tim Byrne there.
It kills me.
We're gonna save that on the we're gonna save that on the presentation as last as like the crowning moment to Indiana football.
As a guy that had season tickets to an 8-win Indiana basketball team that just returned Kyle Tabor's bum ass from and he was the only scholarship player who was a former walk-on, and we were just like we were still just begging for anything. That's an incredible place for me to be. And I've been a football fan for a long time, and football as a sport, I've always loved more than even basketball. But it's a real opportunity now because we couldn't get to the top of the mountain in basketball. We couldn't even get to like kind of the top of the mountain. We got to a Sweet 16. So now we did it once, and that was crazy. But if we start having true, prolonged, top 5 in the country type of success in football, which I think a second season like this could absolutely do, 3 straight seasons in the playoff, we are all flipping the switch over to football instead of basketball.
So I think I like it. I like this. That's number 2. I like this, of course. I mean, you made me make it number 1 in my book, but we go number 2 here. What was your third? Because I do have a proposal on the third.
My third is a specific player.
Okay.
And it's LeBron Bond.
Wow.
Yep.
I'm just telling you right now, I'm not going to vote for whatever you're about to say. Go ahead.
And maybe I'm perhaps projecting for my preference of LeBron Bond. Who knows? Charlie Becker and Nick Marsh will get so much attention from opposing defenses. I want to hope and believe that the run game is good, but I have no idea after Charlie Becker and Nick Marsh, what is going to be the third best thing that we can do offensively? Truly, what could we depend on, whatever else? And I think there's an opportunity because who knows what we're getting out of the tight end room in the short passing game, which is equivalent to a running game at times. Who can take advantage of one-on-one situations? Who's going to get the drag route where the rest of the secondary has bailed out and they could have the entire field. If they can make a guy miss, they can make a huge play. Somebody is going to have the opportunity. I think it might be LeBron Bond, but there will be the opportunity there to be effectively the third offensive threat for this team. Maybe it's Turbo Richards. Maybe it's Brock Schott. Maybe it's Davion Chandler. Maybe it's name your favorite. That's the opportunity, perhaps maybe than LeBron Bond, but it's the third offensive weapon.
Yeah.
Did I get to make the sales pitch?
No. You didn't say, because if you would put Tyler Morris in there, I might have listened a little bit. But where I'm going to submit, and I know you're going to agree, so it's like I just let you go for 2 minutes so that I could get my point across, is we have a chance to truly become transfer university.
Oh, my God.
If Josh Hoover goes in the first round next year, he doesn't got to go 1-1. If Nick Marsh goes in the first round next year, there is no reason, and Turbo Richards gets drafted next year.
Right.
There is no reason that a transfer player should ever say no to Indiana. We have the money, and we have the development that we've shown that we can take you in 1 year. We made one a Heisman win. We got one drafted. We made one a Heisman winner, and then this one would be a first-round draft pick. Like, sure, we've talked about maybe Tyler Cherry is the guy, and we don't have to go in the transfer portal, but name me a quarterback that wouldn't go, oh, Sig is interested in me. I'm going into the transfer portal and try to go to Indiana.
I like it. I think we could be transfer portal dominant in some ways, that we could perhaps even get guys for lower market rates.
Yeah.
Or perhaps force, for a player to go, well, I could go to Indiana for X, but if I'm going to instead go to Wisconsin, it's got to be 125% of what I'm getting at Indiana. For me to outweigh the sort of actual developmental opportunity to get paid way more. Which is good, because while you did say we do have plenty of money to some degree, we're still not paying Texas level money across the board. Like it's all about how it's allocated.
To your point, we kept Texas away from Bray Lynch, the Austin, Texas native.
True. But we didn't spend it on like depth pieces for the offense. So it's just like we're, when you think about the entire roster construction, it's not quite there. But I like that. I think that's a good third. That's better than my third offensive weapon.
Yeah.
But it's interesting that our opportunities are not really player specific, scheme specific, style of play specific. This is about program positioning opportunities ultimately, which I agree that is probably broadly what is the opportunity of the season.
Yeah, because I mean, we could talked about this is not we're not proving last year was legit. We all believe it was legit, but I've brought up before on this podcast the 2015 Royals. They're the worst World Series champion of all time, and it's because they were ass in 16, 17, 18, 19, 21, 22, 23,
23, 24,
hey,
25.
They went to the playoffs in 24, ass in 25, 26. So and those players that left were not any good, right?
Yeah.
Like there's a world that we go in and all the Fernando Mendoza is a bust, and there's all those receivers are terrible, and Indiana's 4-8, or they would never be 4-8, but 8-4, like Adam Brenneman's dumbass said, and like everyone's like, whoa, what happened in Bloomington in 2025? It's possible. Do I think it's going to happen? No. So program positioning for the long-term success of the program. Can Indiana survive post-SIG? This is a not a make or break year, because if he goes to the playoffs in 10-2, it's solidified. But it would still be, we have an opportunity. That's why it's an opportunity. All right. Threats.
I think I'm trying to think of how to phrase this threat, but I'm going to call it blue chip talent.
Okay.
I believe I texted it to you during the Penn State game when we were down, and I think I tweeted it at Bud Elliott maybe. Sometimes, as much as God love Sig, and we're making the best we can out of 3-star guys or taking a 0-star guy, and sometimes bigger, faster, stronger wins. And we almost saw it a little bit in the national title game with all the talent Miami has. We almost saw it in the Ohio State game. We won them, but there is a world where those games flip the other way just off of a couple plays. Really, truly it is. And so to me, we are doing better about building our talent. Again, the high school class, I think, is good. We're getting more commits down the line. Obviously, Manchin is a big piece of that. The 2027 class is looking great from an elite talent perspective, but it's still not what Ohio State has built up. It is still not what Oregon has built up. It is still not what Texas has built up. And at some point, again, injuries happen, something else. Maybe we miss out on some of these transfer portal guys, et cetera. Blue chip talent from those other teams is what is going to end up being the thing that we can't overcome this year.
So I think it is a threat, and we should put this. If I'm answering that threat, though, and trying to categorize where that we can mitigate the threat, is that we do not play the more talented blue chip teams on the road.
Yeah.
And Indiana has, and one of the reasons this is the case, because Indiana's really not had a hard home schedule in the last 2 years. But we've not played, the teams that we struggled against have been a mixture of high-end talent and road environments. So you're looking at Penn State, Notre Dame, Ohio State, and then Miami. Even though, like, yeah, we had the majority of fans in that game, it was still like their home
We
field,
traveled.
their home.
Yeah, they were at it.
We
Yeah,
traveled.
they slept at
right?
home. Yeah.
Yeah. So Alabama, better blue chip ratio, more talent on the field than Indiana did. We smoked them. Oregon was not a road environment in the Peach Bowl in Atlanta. Like, it was a home game. We smoked them. I mean, we beat Oregon by double digits at Autzen, but it still was more of a slog than the Peach Bowl was. So, like, I agree with you. Those top end talent teams. So if I look at the top end talent teams this year, it's not Michigan. They had a lot of guys transfer. It's USC and it's Ohio State, and it's USC east of the Rockies. I am very confident in that. And then Ohio State obviously is going to be a really hard game. And Washington and Indiana's talent are comparable. So I'm not really worried about that game in terms of this threat. So I think it is a threat because you never know where you're going to play people. If you're playing Oregon and Las Vegas in the national championship game, it could be a home.
Yeah.
I
think this is certainly, this is in my mind is a playoff threat. This isn't probably something we see as a regular season threat, but at this point, I mean, we're like a 70% chance to make the playoffs. Like, I believe we're going to be in the playoffs. So what do I think could be the threat come playoff time? Blue chip talent.
Yeah. I'm not going to. So my threat that I want to propose is not going to be injuries, because that's a threat to every team and environment. And we already did depth on the offensive line as a weakness. I'm going to put down threat is a spoiled fan base. So
okay.
I'm going to say this.
Do a yes and on this, but go for it.
Okay. Indiana going 16-0 is very tough. Indiana loses to Ohio State, or we win Ohio State and we lose at Michigan, or we lose to USC at home. Not happening, but could. At Washington, we lose a game.
Yeah.
This fan base, I don't know. I think there'll be so much negativity around losing a game because we just won't know what to do. Like, it's just like
it's been a while.
All Sig does is win. And it just will be this toxic environment. And you don't want to turn one loss into two losses, right? Like a bad loss into two losses. And Ohio State, Michigan back-to-back is set up for that, right? Or you fall in a trap game at Nebraska, and then you're not up for Ohio State, or the energy around the stadium is not what it was. I just think it's a threat that we do have a lot of bandwagon fans, and we welcome you. Come on the bandwagon. Yeah. But it's college football. You hit some bumps. Hold on. Don't fall off. And I'm really worried they might fall off.
So I was gonna build off of that, but take it more to the players and the team, which is, I think complacency is the threat.
Yeah, I was gonna actually propose this. I like this.
Yeah. And so I don't believe we will be complacent up until October 17th when we play Ohio State. But if we beat Ohio State, and hell, if we beat Ohio State by, double digits, let's say.
Yeah, 2 scores.
I think there's a real chance that the team mentally is like, oh, we're about to dog walk this whole country again. And they will dog walk then the rest of the season. If that happens against Ohio State, the confidence we will have going to Michigan, against USC, against Washington, and I bet we would win those games easily. But then if we got like some weird matchup or something, we're playing a Texas team in the Cotton Bowl, and we get our face smacked a little bit because the last test we had was at home in October. Will we be ready? Like when Sig did his interview with Reese Davis and sort of film watching, whatever else. And he said this in a number of ways. He said a lot about Fernando. The way the 25 team attacked being ready, doing the little things outside of practice, watching tape, doing all the, like everything else was like, there was a hunger there for that team. It is classic across all levels of sports. After you win that title, do you really got that dog in you still? Does that hunger still burn? I think it burns at the top for Cignetti. I think it burns for Brian Haynes and Mike Shanahan, et cetera. And so I have full belief that it will continue to sort of be the culture. But will it? Let's see it happen. And I think that's a potential threat, absolutely.
I think we should put this as number one.
Yeah.
Because Cignetti mentions it every single freaking time he has a microphone in front of him. And he calls it stalking complacency. He is stalking complacency. Yeah. It is a threat. We didn't put it in weakness.
No, it is the biggest threat, really.
Yeah. I like that. And they're college kids. They just are. Right. Like we joked about Johnny and his late night Pizza X, but like
exactly
it's college kid. That's what it is. And they, I mean, we've had the guy leave the team unexpectedly and then come back this year. We've had, obviously whatever happened that we really haven't talked about on here, but just like the domestic issue that was happening.
Oh yeah, you got arrested.
The whole thing is like it's just college kids. Like these are college kids, and they are now the biggest thing in Bloomington. Charlie Becker is a bona fide star on that campus. Like Fernando Mendoza freaking had private security by the end of the year, right? So it's hard not to, one, if you're a new guy, take what the old guys did as your own success, which isn't the one thing that Cignetti tries to get out of it. And if Indiana prepares better than everybody else, which is what everyone says, you got to have that, what you're talking about, that level attention to detail and stuff. And you got to know that, Tim and I are going to make fun of Purdue and that they like laugh that they could beat us or they can't beat us. But you, player, can't think like that. You have to score 100, you're going to have to prepare for that game because that's all what we're expecting. Anything less than 100 points in November in the bucket game is a failure.
Yes, 1,000%.
All right, what's our last threat?
Well, I provided two. What do you got?
Well, I said the fan base one.
Okay, the fan base is that.
But you kind of made that your complacency one.
I did sort of build off of it.
Facilities?
Our third quarter break stadium song is our threat.
Yeah, no, Tim, you're the only one in that camp. Let's see. A threat to the a threat is that the other great teams at the top 7 teams that probably have a chance to win a national title, they have elite quarterback play. So thinking about this in college football playoffs, Josh Hoover is good. He's somewhere between Curtis Rourke and Fernando Mendoza. But Sayan is a Heisman level play. Or Arch Manning's a Heisman level play. Or Dante Moore. He won't be, but like he's a Heisman level winner. And a great quarterback can win games. I thank God Miami had college Carson Beck because now Carson Beck looks elite in the NFL. But like, thank God they had college Carson Beck. Or who knows how that game would have turned out.
Right. Or a player yet to be sort of discovered. Does Darian Mensah look like an unbelievable talent when he's surrounded by Fletcher and Tony and a great offensive line and a defense that doesn't, put their team behind the 8 ball? Like, there's a world where we're playing Miami again for the national title, and now all of a sudden Mensah is a difference maker truly at the quarterback position. There could be any number of guys that sort of get the opportunity this year and transform their teams in a way that we don't have, perhaps. I think that's if you're also telling me or asking me perhaps what is the threat, I think, in the way that we lose a game or get eliminated from the playoffs, it's we have an opposing quarterback that plays well, which is like kind of a duh statement.
Yeah. No, but I think it's true.
But we were able to truly dominate opposing quarterbacks that they did not see, what was coming at them. They were not able to get to the receivers that they wanted to. Like the offenses were sputtered. If a quarterback has a true sort of mastermind level of competency within their offense and has the blue chip talent, has those things, that the offense can dictate and ultimately win that game. So I do think that's probably the threat.
Who's the most elite quarterback Indiana's played in the Cignetti era?
Well, I think who played the best against Cignetti. I think it's Carson Beck in the national championship game. Like,
I think that tells you everything you need to know.
But I would tell you this. I believe that Julian Sain has a capacity on October 17th to play better than what Carson Beck did against us in the national tournament.
I think Dante Moore has the ability. I think Dante Moore has the ability to do that. Yeah. I'm just saying, like, we make bad quarterbacks look bad, but the one time that you have that if you have a generational quarterback that you can't make look bad, that's what makes generational quarterbacks. Right. It's Jeremiah Smith having 100 and some odd yards, not winning the game for them in the red zone, but like you still look at him and be like, that guy's the best player, like best receiver in college football, even though we beat them because he's a generational player and we didn't hold him down. Trinidad Chambliss at Ole Miss played out of his mind against Georgia, played out of his mind against Miami, right? Like that's a type of player that if he's on Miami in the national championship game, even though we controlled that game more than we get credit for, you never know.
Does CJ Carr actually come to fruition? And then we're going up against a very elite Notre Dame defense that sputters our offense. And
Notre Dame didn't beat us because of Riley Leonard, and Ohio State didn't beat us because of Will Howard. Yeah. We haven't been beaten by an elite quarterback. Okay. All right, Tim, I'm going to leave our next segment. Here's our SWOT analysis, everybody. This is what we're going to present to Cignetti in his office. You'll like our thumbnail. Everyone hopefully has seen our thumbnail. If you're an Apple podcast listener, you haven't seen it, go look at it on YouTube. And then subscribe when you're there. Subscribe to us on YouTube. Subscribe on Spotify, all that fun stuff. Strengths are coaching staff continuity, pass rush, making teams one-dimensional. Weaknesses, depth on offensive line. Inefficient offense, prone to turnovers. Opportunities, take the stranglehold on the Big Ten by beating Ohio State at home. Make Indiana a football first fan base and owning the transfer portal. Threats are complacency, high-end talent teams that we might come up against, elite teams that have an elite quarterback. So it's not just an elite quarterback. They got to have some pieces around them to be that good. Right. So those are our threats for Indiana this season. Let us know in the comments if you agree or disagree. I'm sure you will let us know, and I'm sure I will on Bookstore Brew on Friday. I will read all your comments and you tell us how dumb we are of all these threats. So looking forward to that. Tim, there's 3 more things I want to do, and then we're gonna is this the year segment we'll do on Sunday.
Okay.
Is Cignetti avoided the low-hanging fruit of when asked about the Purdue's AD comments? While he avoided it, was his answer of, hey, Kurt, the Purdue athletic director and his officer or his opening press conference said that Indiana has national championships. I'm not making fun of the reporter, by the way. I'm just like making sure they're there. And like Sig goes, not really. Do you have any comment? Not really. Is that almost like more of a put down of Purdue than actually addressing the comment?
Right. Because if he were to say something like, well, I've looked at the scores in the past 2 years and we've beaten them 133-3, right? That's not that's almost, it is one of those things where it's like, hey, stop beating up on them now. You're looking, this is getting into a NBC News situation about bullying, and it's getting tough to see. Like, we're at that point of the Indiana Purdue football rivalry. So I think it was a good move by him to just be like, whatever, dude, don't care. Like, yeah, he's an idiot. And that's all anybody needs to know.
Yep. Our friends over at Football Weather, Back Home Network, Galen and Matt Alaska, tagged us in something, Tim. They want our thoughts. They sent me this a while ago. I didn't get a chance to really talk about it because there's been a lot of news. But best signature foods, most iconic meal at every FBS school. Okay. Indiana got breaded tenderloin.
Cool, man.
Do you think that is Indiana University? Purdue, by the way, in our state. See what they
what's Purdue's?
Dwayne Purvis.
What a fucking terrible place West Lafayette is. My God.
Notre Dame.
I don't even want to put that in my Google search history.
Have you seen that the Yak has just been crushing them
it's
all week long?
X. What is it? what is the
bread pudding? By the way, is the Notre Dame one. So we got breaded tenderloin. What's the best breaded tenderloin in Bloomington?
I don't know. Let's. I'm pulling up the XXX menu to make fun.
I'd almost argue that Nick's like biz fries are more popular or like more iconic than a breaded tenderloin.
So let me find
Yonko's steaks more iconic than a breaded tenderloin. I know breaded tenderloin. Your camera switched, by the way, unless you're looking to the side. Oh no, you're good.
Yeah, I was looking to the side.
Breaded tenderloin.
Dwayne Purvis is a like quarter-pound chop steak. It's just a stupid sandwich. See, that's dumb. I don't agree that the breaded tenderloin should not really be the food that represents, because it's like a broad Southern Indiana cultural food sandwich thing. But when I think as an IU alum, I've had a handful of breaded tenderloins. What did I have a boatload of? Breadsticks. Pizza X breadsticks. Pizza X, shout out. We are looking for sponsors. So
yeah. Like I would argue ZNC's is more iconic. Like their mayonnaise on their Chinese food is more iconic than
that to me is more of like the iconic food of the Indiana University student like experience.
Yeah.
But not a breaded tenderloin. That's just somebody did a bad Google AI thing and was like, what's the popular food in there? And it just roped in Southern Indiana ultimately. That's terrible.
Tim, who are your top 5 receivers in the NFL of all time?
Jerry Rice, number 1. I maybe shouldn't rank these, but like Randy Moss is for sure there. Maybe Chris Carter. Calvin Johnson, absolutely from a talent perspective, should be in there. Boy, man, there's got to be like somebody I'm missing right off the top, but maybe like Torrey Holt, maybe Isaac Bruce, but they split so much with those early Rams teams. Maybe T.O. actually probably deserves. Terrell Owens deserves to be up there.
USC graduate Jacoby Lane, who is on the Baltimore Ravens this year, was asked this after. Let's watch.
Jerry Rice.
Okay, so we agree. Jerry Rice.
Yep.
All right.
That's pretty universal.
Calvin Johnson. Good stuff.
Gonna go Odell
Beckham Jr.
Bad. Come on, dude.
I agree.
I
agree.
These kids watch ball.
That one play.
Gonna go with who else? Jarvis Landry.
Jarvis Landry.
God, what an insane pick.
All right. And then the 5th one. Let's see if this one was in Tim's top 5.
And I'll top it off. I'll say Elijah Surratt.
Elijah Surratt making Jacoby Lane's top 5.
That's just being a good
Shout
teammate.
out Jacoby Lane.
That's being a good
ball
teammate.
knower.
Did he say Zay Flowers?
Knower. No. Elijah Surratt.
And
it's a practice picture of Elijah Surratt with like the Guardian.
The Guardian cap. Yeah. The helmet, the padded helmet. That's hilarious.
Oh, shout out Jacoby Lane.
Jarvis Landry is wild.
Fernando Mendoza is making his preseason debut tomorrow night, which we're recording on Wednesday nights when Kirkwood Dunn releases. So we'll be talking about that on Bookstore Brew. And then, of course, we'll talk about Sunday if anything relevant. But what should we expect since he's getting a lot of snaps in the game? What do you expect of Fernando Mendoza on Thursday for the Raiders?
I expect him to be sacked at least once. I would expect minimal, like 0 sort of designed runs, even though I think that will be part of what they do during the season. And then I do think it's probably going to look pretty bad. The Raiders don't have any wide receivers. Like they have guys out there wearing jerseys that are designated by the NFL as wide receiver jerseys, but you should not interpret those as wide receivers.
EJ Williams is out there. He'll probably be throwing EJ Williams.
Sorry, EJ. Love you, my guy.
You do love him.
And Brock Bowers is not going to see the field with him. So Brock Bowers is really, really good and will be great for him as the season gets going. But in the preseason, He's not going to be throwing to Brock Bowers, so I think it's probably going to look a little rough for Fernando, and nobody should ever read actually too much into that. That's the
I'm telling you right now,
that we should be saying.
If he outplays Carson Beck in his preseason debut, we will have content. If he doesn't, we won't talk about it again. So
NFL preseason doesn't matter. That's why Carson Beck played well and Fernando didn't. That's why.
Oh, man. All right. So you can follow Tim at TB Hoosiers. You can follow me at ST McGee. You can follow Kirkwood and Dunn on all platforms. Please let us know below your thoughts on our SWOT analysis of the Indiana Hoosiers. I will be back on Friday morning for another bookstore brew, so keep commenting there. And then Tim and I will be back on Sunday, where we are going to look at kind of a national picture and continue to preview the upcoming college football season, because we are oh so close.